Well, a few years after getting married, there's talk of couples facing trouble with the 7-year itch. Hollywood made a movie about it in the 50s and created an icon with the story of a husband tempted by his new neighbour, played by Marilyn Monroe. But the experts say the 7-year itch is real and there are ways of beating it. For more, we have psychotherapist and counsellor Melissa Ferrari and one couple who moved in together 7 years ago, so would be feeling pretty itchy by now. Amanda White and Tony Dottore, welcome to the show. Why 7 years? Why is 7 the magical number?
Well, usually we have that beginning stage of the relationship where it's all euphoric and the body and the brain's all full of hormones. So we kind of get propped up and the relationship is easy. And then we go on to, after about that 2-year mark, it starts to dissipate a little bit. And in some cases, people have children. They might have just got married and it stays all exciting, new baby, new child, and addition to the family. So they kind of say 7 years because it is around about the time that what the brain does is to make us feel safe and secure, it automates the other person. And what that means is it makes the other person familiar to you. It's like, I know you. I know what to expect. You're pretty predictable. And so we actually become a little boring to each other.
Yeah, because people can get really annoying after 7 years.
Well, they can. They can. It's
Are you speaking from experience?
Yeah.
Well, Amanda and Tony, you've been together for 7 years, is that right?
14 years.
14? 14 years. You moved in together 7 years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. OK, when you hit that 7-year mark, did you notice some cracks starting to appear?
Yep.
Like what?
It just gets difficult, like with children outside this relationship. Like,
Yeah, children, I suppose, because we were on our own, living on our own together for 7 years, and then all of a sudden we moved in together, our kids were, like, I suppose, a little bit territorial as well. They just wanted their mum and dad. They didn't want us to be together in that way, did they, for a little while? But...
So that's actually creating a little bit of a scare to the couple as well. It's like, oh, you know, we've got these young kids and so we want to manage the relationship well and take care of them. Yeah. And so what Amanda and Tony did, they didn't move in for about 7 years. Wow. And it worked really, really well for getting the time together.
Right.
Yeah.
Before we were right.
Yeah. If
Melissa,
they weren't right...
Melissa, do you think that couples give up too easily when, you know, faced by boredom or resentment?
Yeah, I think that couples do. I think I see many couples in my practice that leave their relationships prematurely. You know, we think it's too hard, but actually with the right kind of connections and paying attention, you really can remedy all of this a whole lot better.
Amanda and Tony, when you started going through your issues at 7 years, was there a point where you thought, all right, we're done, time to move on?
Yep.
So it actually got that bad?
Yes, we went to counselling as well.
So what does a counsellor then say? How did you resolve that with a counsellor?
Well, I don't listen anyway.
Oh, you are a man.
You found it difficult to go to someone to talk to your issues.
Because I sort of talk a lot and I dig deep and...
Yeah, we actually worked it out ourselves.
I think we did.
In the end. A lot of working out too.
Was that the challenge for you then, Tony? You actually had to think about expressing and figuring out...
To break it down a wall, talk to each other.
Yeah. Men go away and process
the cave.
things.
Well, yeah,
they go to the cave, figure it out.
That's
Eventually they'll come back.
Yeah, they do.
And they
do.
They do. It got frustrating at times, that's for sure.
I think the fact, though, Tony, is that the fact that you were willing to go, even though it was something you were uncomfortable with, to go to counselling and go to therapy meant that you were still invested. And I think when two people make that commitment to each other, that's really important. You've got some other great tips as well on how to survive the itch. Doesn't involve a cream.
Yes, no, it doesn't involve a cream.
Unfortunately. So let's talk through those tips. The first one, rediscover your partner.
Yeah, well, rediscover, and a really great way to do that is actually through connecting through the eyes. You know, we do start to get bored, so we need novelty. And what's really interesting is that when we do look and gaze at each other, it does create a little bit of excitement. So do you two want to gaze into each other's eyes now, just for a little?
For the first time?
And we'll check back and see how you feel. So just looking at each other just for a little bit. And just hold that. And the idea is that it actually excites the nervous system a little bit in a way that makes the person a little bit newer to you. And a lot of stuff happens in the brain. Now, you might have a negative feeling or you might have a positive feeling, but it's usually a new feeling. And so it's the novelty that's really helpful.
I've got to say, there's going to be a lot of women out there saying, I can't wait to get home to my husband.
Yes.
To try this one on.
Yeah, and
Gazing into eyes.
And it's interesting because I do it a lot in my office, and it takes a while to do it. You guys are pretty good at it, but it does take a while to get that connection going, but it's really, really helpful. And why is it helpful? Because it creates novelty.
Yeah.
OK. Your next tip, get intimate. How do you do that in a family-friendly way?
Yeah, well, something like that, you know, actually doing things like you might take a moment, you might be social, and you do just hold each other's stare for a little while.
But it's also just your hand on Tony's
exactly.
knee. Just a little bit of touching and just something simple.
We're getting married. We've been together 14 years. We're getting married in August.
Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
You're at that point, aren't you, in your relationship?
I'm 11 years down the track.
11,
I don't want you to rush into anything.
No, that's right. We haven't.
Yeah, they haven't. And I think taking the time, that's a big tip that I can give people. Take your time. Don't rush into things, you know. Make sure that you do know each other well. But the main thing is along the way, like for these two, they did things like we wanted to do something exciting, so they did something new. They moved state. They moved away from where they were living and came to Sydney, and that created a lot of novelty and newness for them. And they decided to do that together. So those kind of new, novel things are really helpful.
We said there were 6 tips, so we've got to get through them all.
Yeah.
So tip 3 is just let it slide very quickly.
Let's let some things go, you know.
Not
We can
everything
start
has to
to
be a
feel
fight.
exactly. Just let some things go.
Tip 4.
Plan for the future. Give yourself the safety and security in the relationship that things are going to move forward. That plants a seed. We'll be together for a while.
Holidays.
And the last one, we have 5 tips, not 6.
Yeah.
5th tip is?
Well, I can give you... The touching is really, really helpful. That's a really, really good one to do. And also, you know...
do
if
new
you
things together?
Do lots of new things
Adventurous
together.
things.
Adventurous things. Anything that gives you that kind of adrenaline experience. But I will say, this kind of connection, that eye-to-eye stuff, excites the brain and therefore says, I love this person.
Aw, great advice. Best of luck with the wedding.
And you're taking this home with you, aren't you?
I'm so taking all this advice home with
If
me.
you need a wedding singer, he's very, very reasonable. Well, listen, Matt and Tony, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, next up, they say fancy cuisine has gone to the dogs. We are checking out some amazing dishes that are now being served up for our pets with Chef Adam Moore.